What is going on, fellow fantasy people? It is your boy John with the catch to bring you yet another mock draft. So, we are moving right along into a 10-team league. We've got your PPR scoring format going on. I'm picking from the ninth overall selection, and I am going to try and go ahead and roll with a zero RB strategy. Did a zero RB strategy with an 8-man league and felt very confident afterwards with the roster I built. So I want to see how that kind of works in a 10-man league. I can tell you that in a 12 plus team league, it's going to be very difficult to do so, but I would also like to know in the comments down below, do you guys want to see me do that? Do you want to see a 12-man mock draft as well as a 14-man mock draft where I conduct the zero RB strategy just to see what happens? Let me know in the comments down below. Go and smash the like button and subscribe for more future content like this, as well as our annual The Catch podcast. Man, I do just want to go ahead and say shout out to all of our new subscribers. Shout out to all of you guys who have been active in the comments down below, and shout out to everyone who has been checking out our videos this past week or so. The support means the world to both myself and my co-host Steven. We are having a blast pumping out these fantasy football mock drafts for you guys. Pumping out any fantasy relevant news, as well as any fantasy videos we've been doing. We're just kind of happy you guys have been along for the ride, and we are super pumped to keep the Catch podcast going all year round. So shout out to all you guys. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. Remember, we are doing this for you guys. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys want to see out of these mock drafts and what you guys want to see moving forward as well. Let's hop right into it, baby, as we see CMC off the board, followed by Dalvin Cook as well. So with this ninth overall selection, I will be targeting a receiver, one of the big three: Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, or Stephon Diggs. And I think it's very possible that we can snag one of those guys, as we saw Ezekiel Elliott as the third overall running back taken in this mock draft, followed by Alvin Kamara. And I'm not going to knock anyone for taking Zeke. I think he's going to have an excellent year, as we see Derrick Henry at number 5 and Nick Chubb at number 6. I think these are your 6 most valuable players overall, regardless of scoring format. If you get a top 6 pick in your respective fantasy league, these are the guys to target, right? I would be, it'd be really hard for me to take any. I mean, I would throw Aaron Jones. It looks like he's moved up in these rankings to the number 7 spot, and that would probably be the last running back I would consider taking in the top 10 at the moment. So we'll see who Brian Fantana selects, as it's Steve takes Aaron Jones with that 7th overall selection. Shout out to It's Steve, rocking the Steve Brule logo. Go check it out with Dr. Steve Brule. Hilarious show. So anyways, we will see who Brian Fantana selects here. It's going to have some big implications as he takes Tyreek Hill. Definitely some big implications on our fantasy squad. Yeah, they have updated these rankings, which is good. They've got Jonathan Taylor at 13 overall. So I'm going to take the dog in Green Bay and Devontae Adams. We know he's going to get those targets all day freaking long. So very happy with that selection. We will see who Vic selects here. And if he does not take Travis Kelce, that may become my next target here, as Stephon Diggs is off the board. So Travis Kelce looking like the next target in this zero RB approach, but we will see what happens if he did not get selected. Vic went ahead and took Austin Eckler. I don't think that's how you say that at all, but that's how I just said it. So let's roll with Travis Kelce. We have got 2 absolute studs and 2 of the best offenses in the league. So very happy with both of those selections. And we will just see how this round plays out, as Saquon Barkley is now off the board with the 13th overall selection. A lot of good players hanging around here in the second round. I will probably with, let's see, I don't pick again until pick 29 and 32. I think it's very unlikely that a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes slides to one of those selections. So we may kind of wait to pick a quarterback. We may go ahead and pick an RB with one of these selections. Even though we are going zero RB for the first three picks, and more than likely the first 4 or 5 picks is really a true zero RB approach. But if someone shows up who is just of too good value in comparison to the receivers and quarterbacks available, that might just be the best move, right? As we see a big run on RBs here after Saquon Barkley with Jonathan Taylor and Najee Harris and Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board in round 2. And in my personal opinion, this is kind of the elite round 2 running backs right here. Najee Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I'm still going to argue for Jonathan Taylor. I still think he is going to have a very good year, even with Quentin Nelson sitting out a little bit, as well as Carson Wentz not being able to lead the offense to start the year. As we see both D-Hop and Calvin Ridley off the board. Let me know what you guys think personally about Austin Eckler in the comments down below. Do you think he is just a PPR value? Do you think he is someone who should be taken in standard scoring leagues? Let me know down below, because he is not someone I have really been targeting, but I do think that LA Chargers offense is going to be very good this year. So let me know what you guys think down below about Austin Eckler. Where are you guys personally targeting him? Is he someone you guys are targeting at all? Let me know. As we see A.J. Brown after the selection of Calvin Ridley, as well as Antonio Gibson. And now in the top of the third, we've seen Justin Jefferson and Keenan Allen at the receiver position taken off the board. So my main target is definitely DK Metcalf, but he is not going to fall to us. I can definitely tell you that, as Joe Mixon's off the board. So things are getting pretty slicey and dicey here. A lot of good players left, and I think with the zero RB approach, we are going to not be able to select a guy like a David Montgomery, who I'd be very happy with, but we are going to stick true to the strategy. And we only have 4 more selections until we pick, so it is possible that Patrick Mahomes slides out of here. And if he does, that is someone that I would like to take with one of these selections, as we do see DK Metcalf taken, David Montgomery taken, so not even an option for us. Now we've got 2 picks, and I'm telling you, Patty Mahomes is looking like he's inching in for us. As we see Darren Waller off the board, and now it's up to Brian Fantana. Does he ruin this mock draft for us, or does he not? And now I went ahead and checked who Vic has, right, because there are some very good skill position players here that I like to take, but I think that Patrick Mahomes is too valuable as he does not get taken. So let's just do it. Zero RB approach. We've got Patrick Mahomes, Devontae Adams, and Travis Kelce, and now we will look to secure one more wide receiver before going on a huge shopping spree on running backs with the zero RB approach. And in my personal opinion, if you're going zero RB in a 10-man league, that's going to entail 2 receivers, a QB, and a tight end. If it's an 8-man league, then you can probably select 1 more receiver, but it's just going to get too thin too quickly in a 10-man league. So I'm going to select 1 more receiver, and then, like I said, we're going shopping. As we see Aaron leave and Steve Brule leave, very sad day for us. But I think this mock draft will continue to be very accurate overall. So we have Allen Robinson here, and we have Mike Evans here. Those are kind of my top 2 targets, right? I'm actually going to go out and I'm going to select Allen Robinson, although we don't know exactly who's going to be playing QB here. There's less competition in that receiver room in comparison to Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin, right, who were both sitting there. And even like a LA Rams receiver room with both Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods available. But I'm still very happy, in terms of who we've shored up here. We've got the best quarterback in the league, best tight end in the league. Some would say the best receiver in the league and the most valuable receiver in the league in Devontae Adams. And then we've got another number 1 receiver in that Chicago offense, who I think Andy Dalton is going to be the starter for the beginning of the year. And I think he is someone who is going to target Allen Robinson quite a bit. But even if we do see a QB change in that Chicago offense, that's still your guy, right? So I'm happy with these selections. And now we don't want to look at anything, no matter how good the receivers are who may be available, no matter how good the tight ends or quarterbacks, defenses, kickers, whatever it may be. We need some freaking running backs on this team. So Josh Jacobs is my number one target here, and then we're just going to have to start going for anyone who could be of good value, anyone who may end up being a number one running back on their respective team, and we are just going to go on a crazy shopping spree. Like each of these guys costs $1 million, and we are freaking millionaires because we need all the help we can get as we see a big run on receivers here. Let's go ahead and check out some of these draft results in the fourth round of this mock draft. We've got Miles Sanders, and then my selection of Allen Robinson, followed by Chris Godwin, CeeDee Lamb, George Kittle, Josh Allen, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and Cooper Kupp. So a lot of receivers, QB and tight end, as well as we see Tyler Lockett and Miles Sanders being the only running back taken in this round 4 so far. So very interesting. DeAndre Swift is now off the board at the top of the 5th, followed by Josh Jacobs, which makes me very, very scared for this roster we are putting together. So this is the true zero RB approach, as Darrell Henderson is off the board, someone I would have considered taking as well. And looking at these running backs, Myles Gaskin and Mike Davis and Damian Harris are looking to be my starting running backs on this team. So while this is very feasible to do in an 8-man league, once you start to get to 10 plus, it may not be as feasible. But if we end up with 3 or 4 running backs who end up being the number one running backs on their respective teams, then we have built a superstar team, right? With what we know, Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce, big Devontae Adams, and big Allen Robinson can do in their respective offenses, as we now see Lamar Jackson as well as Robert Woods and Amari Cooper off the board. So, I mean, really the thing with the zero RB strategy is just the RB position is so thin and so very important to your fantasy football team, where you can get some very good quarterbacks in later rounds, you can get some very good tight ends in later rounds, and the receiver position is as deep as any position in the league. So, it's just it's a strategy that can work, but you're kind of betting on a gamble, because you kind of need whoever you end up with at the running back position to be kind of absolute studs that no one's expecting, and you're going to have to be targeting running backs on the waiver wire very heavily throughout the year, which we saw last year guys like James Robinson step up and help people get to fantasy championships, as well as Cam Akers. So it can definitely happen, but just know that it's still a little bit risky. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shore up who I think is going to be a number one running back on their respective team in Mike Davis, as Myles Gaskin was available there, as well as Damian Harris. I do like both of them here, and they are going to be one of the 2 players that I'm going to target here, as Kareem Hunt is also available, someone who has the potential to be absolutely explosive this year, as we now see Adam Thielen off the board and Myles Gaskin. So I am going to be taking kind of the safe pick, in my opinion, on Damian Harris. As we know, he should be the number one running back on that squad. And Kareem Hunt, just a little bit of hesitancy for me personally. My co-host Steven, super big on Kareem Hunt this year, but I just don't know how heavily utilized he's going to be on a consistent basis, barring any injury to Nick Chubb, and I don't want to sit around and wait for Nick Chubb to get injured. So we are now seeing a couple, or at least one running back taken, in round 6 here, right after the selection of Dak Prescott, and that would be Travis Etienne. And I can tell you that at this point, James Robinson is someone that I'm heavily targeting, as well as Ronald Jones the second. So 14 more selections till we pick. We've still got a plenty of receivers available. Brandon Ayuk just got selected, followed by Mark Andrews here in round six, a beautiful value, followed by Kyle Pitts. So we may very well be seeing a run on this next tier of tight ends. Uh, Very good quarterbacks available in that of Kyler Murray, who just got selected, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, and Aaron Rodgers, and Ryan Tannehill, Matthew Stafford. So a lot of good depth at quarterback still left with Justin Herbert just getting selected, as I said that. Um, so that's kind of the beauty of the bright side of things here with the zero RB strategy is we're not sweating the QB position, we're not sweating the receiver position or the tight end position. We're very happy with that aspect of our roster, but the trade-off is we are now very, very thin pickings at the running back position. Who many, fantasy experts, whatever you want to call them, many fantasy enthusiasts and fantasy fans, people like me and you, tend to value that running back position over any other position. So we will see who falls to us as Robert Tonyan is selected. More and more mock drafts I'm doing as of late. Robert Tonyan is sneaking up earlier and earlier rounds and may not be someone who you can go out and get in round end of round 8 up to round 10 or 11, depending on how many people are drafting, how many teams you have in your draft. So keep an eye on Robert Tonyan, someone I've been talking about very heavily for the past month or so, someone who tied Travis Kelce for the most touchdowns by tight end last year, someone who I have a lot of stock in, someone who I think is going to have a fantastic freaking year. Even if he doesn't match these numbers from last year, I do like where he's projected at least through Yahoo, right around 650 receiving yards and about 7.3 touchdowns. So, I still think those are fantastic numbers. Green Bay has a difficult schedule this coming year, but I do think they're going to score a lot of touchdowns regardless. I do think that offense is going to perform very well from a fantasy perspective. So I am coming up in one pick, as we've seen Russell Wilson and Tom Brady off the board. What do you guys think about Russell Wilson? What are you guys thinking about the Seattle Seahawks in general? I think they're being kind of slept on from a fantasy perspective, and I feel like that happens relatively frequently throughout the year. So I'm going to go ahead and shore up James Robinson, add him to my roster, and with this next selection, I'm going to be eyeing Ronald Jones II, the running back who I think will get the most touches in that Tampa Bay offense, but hey, quote me if I'm wrong, right? It could be Leonard Fournette. Very hard to tell how these running backs are going to be utilized by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and your guess is as good as mine. But that's where we're at this point with the zero RB approach. Is we're going to have to lock up some handcuff positions, and we're going to take some gambles and kind of hope that we get the better side of each gamble. So now we see David Johnson off the board, who is more than likely the number one running back in that Houston Texans offense. So we're going to go ahead and snag Ronald Jones, and now we're looking at this team. We've got Patty Mahomes, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Mike Davis, Damian Harris, Travis Kelce, James Robinson, and Ronald Jones. So I am actually I'm not too upset with this team. If either Mike Davis or Damon Harris hadn't fallen to us and we weren't able to go out and get these next two running backs, I don't know how I'd feel about this team. But I think overall we're still trending in the right direction, and it could definitely be a whole lot worse. So we're going to go ahead and add to PPR values in Naheem Hines and JD McKissick to our queue. And at this point, we can feel a little bit better about starting to target some more receivers. So we're going to highlight Chase Claypool. We're going to highlight some of these Bengals receivers, as well as Robbie Anderson, as well as some of, or at least one more Pittsburgh Steelers receiver. Jerry Jeudy, a guy who you guys know I'm very, very big on, someone who I would really like to add to this current roster. We'll go ahead and add DJ Chark. AB, Will Fuller. We just saw Deebo Samuel off the board before a little run on defense of the LA Rams, Washington football team defense, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I do think there is some very good late round value here at the receiver position. So I would like to go out and get a guy like a Chase Claypool or a Robbie Anderson, a Jerry Jeudy to add to this team. So we may be going two receivers in a row because even though we went 0 RB, we still only have two receivers on this team as we did go out and shore up the best QB in the league and the best freaking tight end in the league, baby. So let's keep rolling. I think this draft is going great. If this has been helpful to you in any way, shape, or form, please go ahead and smash that like button. It does mean the world to myself and my co host, Steven. And go and subscribe for more future content like this as well as our annual The Catch podcast. And please let me know in the comments down below how you think I have done up to this point, what you would have done differently, what you like, what you dislike. Go ahead, tear me apart in the comments down below, or don't do so. Whatever you feel like doing. Give us a shout out. We want to give you guys a shout out and help you guys in your respective fantasy football leagues. As we've seen Antonio Brown, someone who I just talked about, being a heavy target, taken off the board. So that does hurt a little bit, but I still think there's a lot of good players here. My two top players are going to be that of Chase Claypool as well as Jerry Jeudy. So we will just sit here patiently and see how this next selection unfolds. Just want to know if we're going to get one of these two receivers or not. Well, we know we're going to get one of the two, right? I've just seen a lot of people as Brian Fantana takes the San Francisco 49ers defense. I have seen a lot of people reaching for Jerry Jeudy, and we'll go ahead and see who Vic has on this team. He could be in need of another receiver as he's got Diggs, McLaurin, and Adam Thielen, but a very heavy RB other than that. So we will see. He does have two selections in a row, and we will see if he selects Jerry Jeudy or not. So I am going to go ahead and move my face and see who's kind of available on this queue. Still a lot of depth, at the running back position with some of these late round running backs as Vic takes Jalen Hurts off the board. And I'm going to move my face. And we'll just patiently anticipate if he selects Jerry Jeudy or not. If he doesn't, or if he does, excuse me, then I would go with Robbie Anderson. And if I didn't have Chase Claypool on this team, then I would go with Juju Smith-Schuster. But I can tell you that Michael Carter seems to be a really good value here and someone that I almost want to take over Jerry Jeudy just because of how thin we are at the running back position. But I am going to go ahead and follow my gut and take Jerry Jeudy and just kind of shore up the receiver position, in my opinion. And I'm pretty happy with how this team is going overall, even with kind of sweating it at the RB position. I still think we have four guys who have a great chance of being very productive running backs and number one running backs on their respective teams, and our quarterback, tight end, and receiver positions are absolutely loaded. So the zero RB strategy is very risky, in my opinion, but it can definitely work out to where you can build a championship team. So I may go ahead and try this in a 12-man league and see what happens because honestly, I thought with this 10-man draft, it would go worse than this. And, especially just imagine if like Patty Mahomes didn't fall to us, if Travis Kelce wasn't available to draft. I don't know how confident overall in this draft we would be feeling. Imagine if Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and Tyreek Hill were all taken before we selected at pick number 7, which is probably unlikely, but it could be likely in PPR leagues. Some people do just want to go out and get the receiver position filled with one of those elite guys. So we will see. We've got 10 picks until we select exactly what happens here. So even with Travis Kelce on this team, I do want to go ahead and kind of check out who's available at tight end. We do have Mike Gesicki still available, someone who I would really like to pair with Travis Kelce, which I did in the last 8-man league that I mock drafted in. And I think it is of great value to kind of, even if you go out and you get Travis Kelce with a very early pick in either the first or the second round, it is okay to have two tight ends on your roster, especially if you can flex a tight end, which more and more leagues are starting to allow in those flex positions. So I'm all for drafting two tight ends, even if you have Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, or Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, whomever you consider an elite tight end. I am completely okay with going out and getting a second tight end to pair with one of those first guys. So we have seen a big run on receivers here in round 11. We've got Cole Beasley, DJ Chark, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Devontae Smith off the board. And I can tell you, someone who I really would like to add to this roster is Mike Williams. But I do think that we need to hone down and select another running back. And I would like to get Kenyon Drake, who is really the only running back left who I think presents that potential RB1, or at least a maybe the kind of production we saw out of someone like a Kareem Hunt last year, who has an absolute stud in front of him, that of Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt having obviously Nick Chubb in front of him. But I still think that Kenyon Drake can come out and have a very, very productive year. And I also really like the value of Gus Edwards here. You know, we'd hate to see any injury to, as we see Gus Edwards off the board, we'd hate to see any injury to J.K. Dobbins, but I think Gus Edwards, regardless of injury or not, is one of the best handcuff situations in the entire in the entire league. So let's see. We went out and we got Kenyon Drake, and now we have two selections until we pick. And my top target, as much as I like Will Fuller here, is going to be Mike Williams, because I think that he has a great overall value. So we will sit here patiently and see what happens as Michael Thomas is taken off the board, and Will Fuller, kind of the next top two people I have ranked. So we'll go ahead, we'll shore up the receiver position, we'll get Mike Williams and kind of add to what is a very elite receiver room in on this roster. All right, so let's see who we've got here, followed by my selection of Mike Williams. We've got Brandon Cooks off the board, followed by Ryan Tannehill and Noah Fant. Even with Patty Mahomes on this roster, I'm pretty confident in this roster overall, but it wouldn't really hurt to add a second quarterback to this team, like a Matthew Stafford, like a Joe Burrow, a Kirk Cousins, who's a very safe player, Ben Roethlisberger, who's got a very easy fantasy schedule this year, or my guy who everyone's sleeping on, maybe for good reason, maybe for not, someone who I'm supporting all year, baby Tua. You guys will hear it 1,000 times. Please let me know in the comments down below if you guys hate my take on Tua, if you think it's absolutely ridiculous or not, or if you guys think that Tua has potential to come out and be very explosive with all those pieces in that Miami Dolphins offense. As we have seen now Matthew Stafford taken, we've seen Gronk taken as well, and Trevor Lawrence. Some of these might be auto draft picks, but a lot of players going quickly. What do you guys think of Trevor Lawrence while you're at it from a fantasy perspective? Do you think he has the potential to come out and play very well in his rookie season? Are you guys high on his stock? Are you guys low on his stock? Let us know in the comments down below. So with this upcoming pick, pick 129 overall, Mike Gesicki is still my top rated player, still the person that I want to add to this roster. But I think there are a couple other names here that present a lot of good value. Curtis Samuel, Devin Singletary is someone who I think you guys, if you watched our podcast on the NFC East, I think he is someone who still has the potential to be an RB1. Everyone, just is kind of assuming that it's going to be Zach Moss, but Devin Singletary has had some very good flashes, and that team doesn't need to be run heavy by any means, but I still think that he has some value, right? And with this, zero RB approach, he might be someone that I should consider adding to my roster, but let me know what you guys are thinking about that handcuff situation, that running backfield there in the Buffalo Bills offense, and how you guys are thinking that's going to unfold. Love Curtis Samuel here. I love Chenault Jr. here. Tony Pollard, a very extreme handcuff situation, kind of just praying that Zeke gets injured. Same with Alexander Madison, just praying that Dalvin Cook gets injured, and I don't like to bank my fantasy bets that way. But Corey Davis, a very good value here. We've got Darnell Mooney here, someone who my co-host Steven is huge on, as we see Ryan Fitzpatrick off the board. I like the value of Hunter Henry here a whole lot. I think Rashad Penny shows some pretty good upside. upside. But once again, probably just wishing that Chris Carson deals with some injuries this year. Evan Ingram, who presents some pretty good PPR value, definitely not any value whatsoever in a standard league. And we've got J.D. McKissick here, who's a very good PPR value at this point in the draft. So let's see. There's one more selection, as we've seen Steve Brule take Curtis Samuel off the board, and we will see how these next two. These are really my final picks for this draft. I'm not going to forfeit a kicker. I am going to go ahead and pick a defense and a kicker. You guys have seen both myself and my co-host Steven forfeit a kicker and or a defense in some of these mock drafts, which is something that we both do realistically in some of our real drafts. So I'm going to go ahead and take Mike Gesicki, and then I'm feeling pretty good about this team overall, and I'll probably just queue up a couple of kickers that I like, and then maybe a defense or so, and we will go ahead and we will break down this team. And I can tell you Rodrigo Blankenship would be a great value here. And I'm feeling pretty good about this team actually overall. So we'll see if I'm kind of interested. Yeah, so to see if we get Blankenship or not. I think he's a great value at this point in the draft, even being a kicker. All right, let's break down this team. So 10-man league, 10-team league, right? PPR scoring format, and we had I don't remember what pick we had, 7th overall, if I remember correctly, right? Zero RB approach. We went out at the quarterback position. We've got the best in the league, Patrick Mahomes. At the tight end position, we've got the best in the league, Travis Kelce. These are the two guys you have now seen me pick in my last two zero RB videos. So we're still shoring up two of the best players in the league and two of the best players at their respective positions in the league as well. So I'm very happy about that. And we've got Mike Gesicki on the bench available to flex in at the tight end position as well. Someone who you guys know I'm very high on. At the receiver position, we have arguably the best receiver in the league with Davante Adams, someone who is going to be an absolute target machine, a red zone machine this year. 18 receiving touchdowns last year. Don't sleep on Davante Adams. As good as or as difficult of a schedule as Green Bay has this year, he's still going to ball. Aaron Rodgers is going to look his way almost every single play. So very happy with that selection, followed by Allen Robinson, who's going to be the number one receiver in the Chicago Bears offense no matter what. Outside of that, we've got Chase Claypool, who gives us some great upside value. We've got Jerry Jeudy, someone who I'm personally very high on, who also gives us great upside value. And Mike Williams, looking to emerge in that second year of Justin Herbert under the helm in the LA Chargers offense. So very, very happy at the receiver position as well as the tight end and quarterback position. Now, zero RB approach. Here's the question marks, right? The running backs. Overall, we have Mike Davis, we have Damian Harris, James Robinson, Ronald Jones, and Kenyon Drake. So we've got three kind of handcuff situations outside of Mike Davis and Damian Harris. So not the most attractive running backs by any means, not the most exciting running backs, and a couple of question marks, handcuff situations. But overall, these guys could still end up being the number one running backs on their teams. I think some of them, at least Mike Davis and Damian Harris, are certainly going to be the number one running backs on their team. So I still think we got very good value for following this strategy overall. So I'm very happy actually with this roster as a whole. And I think I stayed true to the strategy, and I hope that was helpful for many of you guys who may be considering following the zero RB strategy in a 10-man league. So if this was helpful in any way, shape, or form, please go ahead and smash that like button. Throw some comments down below on why this was helpful, why it was not helpful, what I could have done better to help you guys in your respective fantasy football leagues. Remember, that is what we are here for. And go ahead and subscribe for more future content like this, as well as our annual The Catch podcast and many, 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 many more fantasy football videos throughout the year. I thank you guys so very much for watching and or listening. I had a blast with this one. I will let you guys go ahead and see what defense we get here. I think we will end up with the Indianapolis Colts defense, which I think they're going to have a great year, so I'm happy with that. They did put up a whopping 145 points last year, so they had a very good year last year. So I'll go and pull up this team one last time, and I will say thank you once again for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here.